Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today we're taking a look at this little fellow right here, the Legacy of Lo-Pan expansion for Big Trouble in Little China. Now, Big Trouble in Little China is one of my favorite games of last year. I'm a huge fan of the movie, and so when this one came along, I was really wanting to get it to the table really quick, and I ended up really enjoying the game a lot. I mean, if you're a fan of the movie, it's a lot of fun. If you're not a fan of the movie, it's still a lot of fun. So you can watch that review of elsewhere on our channel, but this one is about the expansion. Now, if you got the gold box edition of the game, the one that looks like this, then this was included in that box. But if you got the white box version of the game, the one that would have a cover similar to this one, at least with the white trim on it and that type of thing, then this was not in there. But now this is available separately for purchase. So that's why you're getting a separate review for the expansion that was included in the gold box version, but not in the white box version. So let me get down to the table. I'll show you what comes in the expansion and how you use the expansion. Then we'll come back with some final thoughts in just a little bit. So here's a representation of everything that you're going to get in the Legacy of Lo-Pan expansion for Big Trouble in Little China. First of all, you're going to get a new Lo-Pan card that is going to be your an enemy during the game. And then you're also going to get this overlay right here, which is going to cover up part of the board. This is where the Big Trouble track was in the other game, and the Big Trouble cards. Those aren't used in the expansion. And so you have that. Then you also have the campaign book, which you're going to use for all of your quests. All of the heroes' main quests and the side quests are actually not used in this expansion. But with that having been said, you do get some new side quests that you can add to your base game, which will help that a little bit. There's also a 5 to 6 player showdown setup for Big Trouble track and Audacity track for this Act 2 in the regular game. You get 10 more action dice. You get 7 hourglass tokens. You have these two time token and the Audacity track token here. A couple more of these special power tokens. You get 6 reward cards that are only used with the expansion, and then you also get 10 new hell cards that you can shuffle in, and each of these do have a little icon there down at the bottom that tells you that it is part of the expansion. You also get some more pegs for tracking health and so forth and so on. Now, of course, the Audacity track or the Hourglass token is going to go down here on the other side of the on the start track here, right here, so that it's going to be going on this track. But the time token is placed over here according to how many players are in the game. So in 4-player game, you'd be starting the time tracker here. In a 5 to 6 player game, you'd be starting it here, and so forth and so on. So that's where you're going to go. Now, the game is basically played. I'm not going to go over all of the nuances of the game because I've already done that in another review. So you can go back and check out that Big Trouble in Little China review. The expansion uses the same framework as far as the heroes phase and then an enemy phase and so forth and so on, using your action dice and carrying out different things. The difference comes into the heroes don't have their own quests. All of the quests are in this book. So nobody has their own quests. You don't have any side quests that are on the board. The book is everything that you need as far as quests are concerned. So you're basically starting at 1.1 Wild Things, and you're reading through that part of the book and continuing on until you get over here to the 7th story, 1000 BC, and then hopefully you're going to be able to defeat Lo-Pan. That is still the goal of the game in order to win, but because of the nature of this, you're probably not going to be able to get through all 7 of these unless you just marathon it and just, pedal to the metal and just keep grinding throughout it. You're probably going to play this expansion campaign style in a number of different settings, and then maybe ultimately defeat David Lo-Pan. But that's generally what's going on. You start off in the present, 1986, which is when the movie took place, and you are going to be doing certain things, and then you go back to other times throughout. Sometimes you jump ahead to different things. So It has a very time jumpy feel to it. And I'm not going to show you any of these things because it is kind of spoilerish if I were to do that. So I'm not going to do that. Just simply understand that this takes the place of your hero quests and your side quests. You're not using those at all. Everything you need to guide the game along is in this book. After every hero phase happens, the enemy phase happens. At the end of the enemy's phase, this will click towards the out of time button. If this ever happens to out of time, then you have to read the out of time effect that's in the book for that quest. So that's going to be the kind of storyline feel to it. It definitely feels more scripted than the other game does, but it still carries over that feeling, that sandboxy kind of feeling where you can pretty much make your own decisions within each of the quests, but it is scripted in that you are definitely going to be going through these and these and these and so forth and so on. So that's the general gist of the Legacy of Lo-Pan expansion for Big Trouble in Little China. Let's get to my final thoughts. So that's about that for the Legacy of Lo-Pan expansion for Big Trouble in Little China. That's a mouthful, by the way. So everything that comes in the expansion, this is one of the things that I enjoy with expansions, when they give you another way to play the game, but it doesn't change how you play the game. Do you understand? What you're doing on your turn, how you're carrying out actions, all of the same, according to how you do it in the base game. But the structure, the storyline is a little bit more streamlined, a little bit more guided in this one, and I really do enjoy that because you only had the one book that you're going through, and you're not having to do a lot of flipping. You're just basically going by page by page. So that's my first pro of the game, is the fact that this campaign book really kind of streamlines gameplay a little bit and gives you a little bit more of a focused it kind of just focuses the group on what you're doing, and it makes the gameplay slightly easier because everybody's working together. Now, the base game and this game are both cooperative, but this one just feels more cooperative because there aren't everybody's individual quests out on there on the board. Now, you can still accomplish somebody else's quest or help them accomplish it in the base game. But this one just feels more cooperative for some reason, and that's one of the things that I like about it. That's my first pro, is that it's streamlined and it feels more cooperative. My second pro for the expansion is that they do give you some more stuff that you can add to your base game, and I like that when expansions do it. They're not changing anything, they're just giving you more of stuff to use. I like that they added more dice, and they actually added more hell cards, but we'll get to the hell cards in just a little bit. I just like the fact that they have taken the base game and given you another way to play it, and they've also added to what you have and what you can use in the base game as well, and that's great. My third pro of the game is the fact that it's time travel-y. I like that in games, and a lot of the time people games try to take it too seriously, I guess, and they convolutes the game, and I don't think it happened here, because the only real time travel-y aspect is the settings within which you're doing all of these different things. And I like that as well, because you have you're able to use your imagination and put yourself into that time frame, whatever it might be, and it just feels different, even though it isn't. So I like that a lot, when the game's theme can kind of morph and change into these different things. Think time stories as far as that's concerned. You're doing the same thing in each of those different things, which means that the game itself is kind of themeless. You can slap any theme on there that you want, but you're still doing the same thing in each of those different modules. But because of the morphing ability that the mechanics have, or the mechanisms have, then you have a different thematic experience with each of those different things. Well, you've kind of done the same thing here. This isn't Big Trouble in Little China, the movie. This is Big Trouble in Little China, the sequel. The movie didn't end the way it did on the film. And so now the heroes are stuck trying to figure out a different way to defeat Lo Pan. And I love that. That's really a really ingenious thing. So really, gameplay hasn't changed a whole lot, and that's the overarching pro here. I like that because I loved the original game. Again, go watch the review, you get it. But there is a con here, and the con comes up with these little hell cards. Because in the base game, all of the hell cards, what happens here, the reason that we have hell cards is that if your character dies, you have to draw one of these, and now that's an ongoing effect for you to have either until it triggers or until the end of the game, whatever the card says. And then you just respawn somewhere, back somewhere on the board, usually determined by wherever you started the game at. But and those hell cards that were in the game, in the base game, were all in-game effects. They all changed something that you do inside the game, and it was along the lines of the game. These hell cards, the 10 that you get in the expansion, are not like that. They add in things like, for example, Hell of the Metagamer. It says another player has to dictate what you do on your turn, or you lose 3 chi. Okay, what about, let's see, what was the one that I really thought was, oh yeah, Hell of Analysis Paralysis. This one says you must take a minimum of 2 minutes to complete your turn. No other player can go until your turn is complete. Let's see, what is this? Oh yeah, Hell of the Green Eyes. If you don't have green eyes, something you have no control over, unless you're wearing those colored contacts, you get -1 success on all rolls, and you always fail all fate checks. If you do have green eyes, you get +1 skill die on all rolls, and you always pass fate checks. What about this one? The Hell of the 10-foot tall roadblock. Again, thematic, but you get the idea. You must stand while playing and tower over the game. If you sit down, -2 chi. All right, so you get the idea. Oh yeah, Hell of the Small Bladder. If you have to leave the table to use the restroom, you have to roll 3 skill dice and lose chi corresponding to the roll. These will never be used at my table unless I'm playing somebody else's copy and they want to use them. But I will never use these hell cards because I loathe when games do these kinds of things to you that make you act like a fool, or one of the Hell of the One-Eyed. You have to play with one eye closed or one eye covering your and talk like a pirate the whole time. Or you have to what was the Hell of English class? Yeah, here it is. You have to read all flavor and story text aloud in a British accent. If you don't, bad things happen to you. Don't like the hell cards in this expansion at all. That's the one thing that this expansion should have stayed far away from. But anyway, that's just the one thing. Everything else is great. You can pretty much take the hell cards and throw them in the trash can as far as I'm concerned, because they don't help gameplay at all. They're just goofy. So that's about that. I liked everything in this expansion except for those hell cards. Without the hell cards, I probably would have given this expansion probably a 9 out of 10. But with them, it's at best an 8. Probably closer to a 7, I would imagine. So between 7 and 8, maybe 7.5. I still approve of the, I like what this thing does, and I like what the different reward cards do that are used in the deck. And I think the gameplay is great, and it's tension-filled, and it feels different than the base game, but it still is the same. So I like everything about it, but those hell cards were just over the top, jumping the shark. So did not like those at all. So overall, I'm going to go ahead and give it an 8 out of 10. I'll be nice to it because I do really enjoy the game and I do really enjoy the expansion. Those hell cards were just kind of fish out of water, so to speak. So 8 out of 10 from me for Legacy of Lo Pan expansion. Thanks for joining me. I certainly appreciate it. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side.